welcome to our DPAC meeting. Bienvenidos a todos a nuestra junta de DPAC. And just a reminder that if you want to hear this meeting in Spanish, you just need to select the Spanish interpretation in the globe. Solamente un recordatorio, si ustedes quieren escuchar esta junta en español, solamente tienen que seleccionar el globo terráqueo y seleccionar el idioma de español. Also, another reminder, this event is going to be recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, just turn off your camera and that's okay. You don't want to be recorded. And introductions now. So this is our DPAC leadership. So we have Janina that unfortunately she's not here, but maybe she's going to be online. So she's our president. My name is Brenda Veronica. I am the vice president. And we also have Fatima Alcazar, that she is our secretary. So now we want to have a little time to talk about what is happening in your school site councils right now or this month. So you could write in the chat a little bit about what is happening in your school site council, what you are discussing right now, what you are doing in the last month, or the plannings maybe for the next month. Also, right here in the room, if you could share the information with another parent that what is your school site council doing right now at your site school.
Is attended their first one? Okay, we have our site council at Jane Adams on at 3:45, I believe, in that afternoon. And my time is only from 8 to 1, so I usually don't get to attend the meetings, which it sucks because then I'm like, oh my god. But I do attend the ELAC meeting, which is the one. Hi, Mr. Rosales. The one that's for the English learners. That one's in the morning. I get to attend that. But yeah, it's school site council is a meeting that usually it's for your school. You guys get to attend. You guys said you're William Green. Do you guys know when that one is? When that one's happening? No. Center Green is probably in the morning. It's 11:50, I believe, or in the morning time.
I've been to a couple here, but mostly.
So yeah, the SSC meeting. Sarai Cuevas is your community liaison. Yeah, and then she's the one who posts this probably on like Parents Fair. She'll be posting when that's happening. Yeah, and it's once a month, and it's going to the first Wednesday of every month. For that school, for your school, for that particular school, yeah. And then this basically this hack is where we kind of like talk about what's happening in each school site. Yeah. But there you'll be able to like learn how they're using funds, Title I funds, that they get from the state, and how they're using it, whether it's like hiring more, support like aides, whether it's having like after school tutoring or something, anything that they're like using those funds for, you guys are able to go and see what's going on.
Pretty generic, like reason they have pretty
breakdown. So basically they'll have like presentations, and then they'll just say like this is what's happening. They'll show you
termine esa junta,
empieza nuestra programs they're using like iReady, using
how it is
siempre es el mismo
right now. There's like just the programs that they use to test.
Ir a la junta del concilio escolar, típicamente
where do they need help, and then they start doing like more. I think in elementary school they do like.
I know this is a really good conversation. We are doing a lot in school site councils, but now I'm going to bring your attention back to the meeting.
El primer miércoles del mes.
Sorry. Okay. It's okay. I know this is a lot, and sometimes it's a lot of information too, and a lot of things that are happening in our school sites. So I'm not sure if someone of you want to share something to all the audience about what is your school doing right now in the school site council.
think we had a few friends who are new to School Site Council who had not attended.
Yeah.
But I think we have a couple friends here who are well-versed in School Site Council at FDR per se, or at Twain per se. I'm looking at two people here.
So at Twain, we are, the last meeting we had, we were mainly talking about how we spent the budget and some of the changes that we're making with the position that can't be filled. So we increased our tutoring capacity locally to I don't want to say target, but to try and enhance help to certain populations of students who. And then at Rogers, we're kind of just still going through the data and trying to figure out what the next steps are.
I heard data and I heard budget decisions. Yay, that's what you're supposed to do at School Site Council. So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. It's not easy, right? But that's the work we do. Daniel, do you have anything from FDR?
Nothing.
All right, well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing. And we are going to continue with the information for today. So the meeting objectives. So for today, we have two different teams for this meeting. First, we are going to talk about the updates for gifted and talented education, or GATE, and also the family input in elementary science adoption. So this is just a continuation from where we are talking about the last meeting, right? So I'm going to invite to Mr. Yes. So she's going to share all the information.
Thank you so much, Ms. Veronica.
Yes.
¿Quiere que me siente?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can sit, you can wander. We have both.
I can wander and sit. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tracy Pamilia, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Educational Services. And last month, thanks to a parent request at our GATE task force, or our GATE parent meeting, who thought that this information would be valuable for all of our parents, I want to acknowledge and thank that parent for coming and suggesting that we bring this to the DPAC. So the updates on the gifted and talented education. Last month when I came, I only spoke about the process for identifying and kind of how we had changed it in the past, how we had it in the past, and then how we changed it this year starting. So we had some history. We talked about the process, and I'm not going to go into it because this was a very interesting topic, I will say. And you're more than welcome to look at the slides or at the recording from last month. But we talked about the qualification and how many we have currently. Today, I'm going to be focusing on the services that we provide for students who are identified in the gifted program here in Lawndale. And just as a reminder, GATE eligibility always happens right here in our districts. So the way that Lawndale identifies students as gifted is different than students who are identified in Hawthorne, or students who are identified in Lenox, in Torrance, and Redondo Beach. We all have our own criteria based on locally designed kind of our setting, our community. Also, when we're talking about GATE students, when a student is identified as GATE, parents find out. We get a letter as a parent. We'll get a letter saying your child has been identified as GATE, as in the gifted program. The teachers find out. Right. And the students will also find out as well, because there's a little bit of a, hey, you know, you got this, parents will know about it. And we invite the parents to a meeting. Beyond that, your child's life should really not change. There's not a G tattoo that we put on them so that everybody finds out that they're gifted. All right. And the reason is that everybody has talents. Everybody has talents in different ways. And the way that we are qualifying students in the gifted realm right now is in the academic realm, using academic like abilities to test well on academic tests. So you have to have a pretty good notion of English. You have to have very good spatial intelligence, but sometimes there are other capabilities that we're just not locally identifying, at least at this time. So I want to be very, very careful, especially for those of our parents who have more than one child. They are so different. And some child who might be identified as gifted might have a sibling who you think this one's the sharper one. Because we all, our parents, we all know, right? But you just have this kind of conversation within yourself to say, everybody, all of my kids have their talents. And that's a teacher's job too. All of my kids, all of my students have their talents. And so when I have an identification that a student has been identified as gifted, that is a piece of data for me to know that I'm going to be differentiating my instruction to this child to make sure that they are given more challenging questions. But I'm not going to have a section in my class that's going to say, this is the gifted table, and they're going to be doing separate work. That's not really how it works. I might be asking questions based on their interests and based on their abilities to give me answers that challenge their thinking a little bit more. So differentiation, you see two graphics, two visual representations that we can use. So if we're talking about a topic, it could be about erosion in fourth grade, where the sand kind of starts to fall and it starts to create these patterns in the landscape. I might ask for certain details or ask for patterns. As you can see, there are different ways that we can ask students to get a little bit deeper into a concept. A student who is just learning English, I can ask for vocabulary types of questions. What is this type of erosion? What is this kind of a setting that you see? For a student who's been identified in the gifted program, I might say, why is this erosion happening in this way? So the questions are leveled, but they're both talking about erosion. Okay. So that happens in class. And so the depth of the understanding is what we call that. We go into something called depth of understanding so that students will deepen their understanding based on their ability to dig further and to challenge them further. Okay. So there are other ways as well. We'll have different types of reading materials that might be more complex for a student to be able to. If their talents are in reading, they will have more complicated, higher level reading texts. But a student who is not qualified as GATE in reading won't necessarily get that because their talents might be in math. So I hope that's starting to make sense that in the classroom, we know what they're identified as, and then we give it according to their interests. But we also provide within the school ideas such as Genius Hour, digital breakout rooms, and in the middle school, there are clubs. So within the class, there will be just normal instruction with different kinds of questions and like working groups. But then there are other opportunities outside of class as well. So for example, there might be a time during class when students are working they're on independently, and students who have been identified can go into a genius hour. These are technology kinds of opportunities to further their academics, let's say in IXL or in escape rooms. And a lot of our kids love logic games. And so they'll be able to go into the logic games of the escape rooms or find an independent project. So they are given time to say, if you want to, they don't have to do it. But if you want to do this, you can go into the Genius Hour and create your own passion project. Okay. Then, as I was saying also, that there are opportunities after school. So we have these kinds of ways for either math in the STEM fields. We also have advocate faculty, teachers at each of our sites who we call our GATE advocates. And each of our teachers provides programming at that school site. So one school site might provide a book club. Another one might provide a math or an art or creative, some sort of a way to provide some after-school enrichment. Then basically with the after-school enrichment, the way that parents know about it is that they receive a parent square communication, and then they're just invited. Does a student who's identified in the GATE program have to go? No. This is really important because if they're providing a photography club and your child doesn't want to do photography, they don't have to do it. Remember, this is all just about what they like to do. And again, children have different talents in so many different ways. It's just a way for us to kind of know that they tested really high on a couple of tests. And so we want to make sure that we're challenging them. Okay. This is going to go into the adoption, but I do want to speak just very quickly about middle school as well, because when we have students who are identified as gifted in elementary school, it's a little bit where everybody's kind of in the same classroom. So it's a little bit more important for teachers to have this understanding that, oh, they've tested really high. When we go into middle school, there are opportunities for students who would like more challenging material to go into the classes that perhaps, let's say if they're in math, to try and go into compacted math so that they can get into algebra in 8th grade, and you can get on a little bit of an accelerated pathway. But there are also they can self-select different kinds of clubs that can also challenge them as well. And so there are these after-school opportunities as well. I will say that RAP has a great way of challenging students because in there are projects all over the place. You can get into podcasting, you can get into different types of pre-CTE careers, engineering, and music that really support a student's kind of cognitive, I will say, like just getting that brain energized. And so I don't want to always think, oh, an honors class is the only way to challenge my child. In fact, the broader a child's experience is the way to really engage a child's brain and their curiosity. So I very much encourage all of us as parents to allow our children to try out these things. They don't have to become math specialists in 5th grade, right? And that's kind of what we think, oh my gosh, they scored really high in math, so I'm going to go in the math way and throw as much math as I can. But a lot of times it's applying that math, applying the logic, applying that in that ability in other areas that really build a child's talent and capacity in that way. And I hope that gives a little bit of a better understanding of how we view the GATE program within our setting. It just provides us with information, but it also provides us with parents to say, okay, I'm going to really, let's go do something, and it doesn't have to be in that one area. Okay. Yes.
One question.
Yes.
In the chat, it says, can you provide more details on how the gate operates? Are these after-hour teaching sessions or various optional interesting groups / clubs that GATE qualified students can sign up voluntarily?
Yes. It's actually both. Within the school day, parents have within the school day, teachers know who is identified as GATE. And so we will ask them different kinds of questions inside the classroom. There are also opportunities for them to join clubs or to do enrichment activities. It's all voluntary. And there are also after-school opportunities that GATE students can access because of their qualification. But again, it's all voluntary. So there's after school and inside the class.
You mentioned, and I'm sorry if I missed it at the beginning of the meeting. I know that the students take the test in the 3rd grade, correct? So what are we doing for early education kids who are above, who may need more to get more challenged, like kindergartners, like, 1st graders, what are we doing for them?
We do the exact same thing. I'm going to be very frank with you as a teacher and as a parent. Whether my child got the 95% on the test in 3rd grade or not, I already know, right? And so in kindergarten, if I'm a kindergarten teacher or a 1st grade teacher, and I have students who are demonstrating advanced abilities in a certain area, I'm going to let them go. You can't really hold back a student. You really can't. They're just going to go ahead with it. There are times, and I'm going to say this, there are times, especially in our earlier grades, that students who are very, very high academically have some other developmental needs. So we might have to work a little bit more in the social area. And any of us who've had kids, especially toddlers, we have ours that walk faster, but they talk slow. They don't talk as fast. It's the exact same thing. We don't all develop all of our skills at the same time. We actually develop our skills like this. So a student who's very high here might need to learn to share. So I'm going to be focusing on, sweetheart, we're going to take turns. And those are the ones who are like, I don't want to share. I don't want to take a turn. And you're saying, I know you don't want to, but we're gotta do it, right? So a teacher has that ability to say, I'm not worrying about the reading. I'm worrying about taking turns, right? So then and it's not really a worry as much as a goal. It'll be a goal for a student, right? So that's really a lot of times, that's what happens in the early grades. And sometimes that spills a lot of times, those who get this right away will need the ability and the development in another.
And what if they do have that ability? What if they are sharing? What if they are, and the parent would like to challenge the student more? With consideration of the teacher, if they're meeting all those kindergarten goals,
Right.
What else can we do for them? Or
so that becomes individualized, and so a parent and a teacher, oftentimes when that happens, they're coming together to say, wow, we have this child here who's really done all of the things. Let's come together and let's talk about ways we can challenge your child. And so it becomes an individualized plan for your child. And so it's never the same thing. There are a lot of things on the table that we can do. And so when we come together, we can kind of talk about those things depending on the child's capability, maturity, those kinds of things. Yeah. It would be an individual conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah. There was one right
Yeah,
there.
I have several common questions. So In terms of the in-class differentiation, which I think is great, and I know it's difficult to do, but I wish teachers could do it for all students because, you know, you mentioned the passion project. I don't think it should just be for GATE students. I think any student should have the opportunity to like really dive into something. But in terms of just like the classroom instruction and the differentiation, in order to know that it's happening, it's just constant communication with the teacher, right? Because I've had experiences where they'll say they'll do something and it starts off in, you know, September, October. By November, they're swamped and they're doing other things and it's not happening. So I'm hoping that the teachers are having enough professional development where they can identify the differentiation opportunities and figure out how they can work that. That should be a priority that we work on. In terms of the middle school, you mentioned that math club. When we were deciding which school to send our kid to, whether to keep them in the district or to send them out of the district, that math club was something that kind of sold us. I haven't seen it happen with Rogers. And then as far as the other clubs and opportunities, they're great. There are a lot of opportunities, but they're all on the same day, so he can't do things that he's interested in doing. He can pick one. That's what he signed up for, so it's been different.
I appreciate that feedback. I'm going to go back to kind of inside the classroom, what I heard you talking about, just especially when we have things that happen and we have opportunities and plans. And thank you for saying that, you know, any student who wants to do a Genius Hour should be able to do a Genius Hour. I completely, you know, I agree that we should provide all of these opportunities for all of our students. So definitely working in that area right now, especially you mentioned professional development for our teachers. And so there's something called a GATE certification, which really gives teachers the ability to get some more honed in or you know, they might already be certified, but maybe recertifying and looking at the depth and complexity kinds of questions. And so we are developing a professional development strand for our teachers for the coming year for them to be GATE certified as well. So I appreciate that that recognition, and we also recognize that as well as ensure timing as well. By November, things kind of fizzling out. I hear you. It is difficult in a classroom to be able to manage a lot of different things at the same time. That is why we try to have the common themes and for them to be able to provide the differentiation within the actual content area. It's very, very difficult for a teacher to be able to multitask and have different projects going on. And what we don't want is our students who are identified as GATE to have more work. No child wants to be given more work. We just want to give them better, more challenging work. So hopefully if it's done well, we don't really know. We know that they're being challenged, but we don't know necessarily that their work and the questioning for them is a little bit different than maybe a child next to them. So that's the goal of how we try to run a classroom. And then in the middle school, thank you for that feedback. I'll definitely check in on that math club to see if it's just something that is going on, we don't know about it, or if it's something that hasn't started yet. I'll check on that. It might be a second semester thing. And having things happen on the same day for sure as you get your children from middle school into high school. As a parent who's gone through that, I hear you. Like we had to choose, you know, is it going to be soccer or is it going to be, you know, youth and government, because practices are on the same day. So you're just going to be having to have those conversations and kind of looking at that with your child. And yeah, sometimes that you do end up having to specialize a little bit because of that.
I think we have one more question over here, and then I'm going to have to shift gears.
And then we have to
take
go.
the
It's
science.
9:30, yes.
You actually touched on one thing I was curious about, which is programs should be available to all the kids. However, just for myself to understand the GATE program a little bit better, it sounds, unless I'm missing something, like if a child is identified as gifted, they won't necessarily have to know about it. The parent will, and they don't have to join any programs or any other So like, what's the point of the program? Who benefits from it if the child doesn't even really need to be involved?
It really is about student identification. And it's for us as parents to know, a child can know about it. The whole idea, the reason why I say that is just to be very careful with our children, to put it in its right context. You get the GATE qualification, and that is something to be proud of. It's just if you have more than one child in a class in your family, and one child, it's just a matter of numbers.
Mhm.
That's why I would just say that the
Oh, when do you, okay. When do you
is-
guys pick up flowers? Oh, okay.
You can
I put
have
them
it.
on there. He's cremated.
Brenda can mute.
Can we're muting, okay. Thank you so much.
It muted everybody. Brenda. It muted everything on the Zoom. If anybody could hear me.
Okay, I'm unmuted now.
Oh, yeah, now we could hear it on Zoom. Sorry.
Honestly, what I was just saying while I was on mute was that it helps for us to know a child's how they qualified as GATE, whether it was through high achievement and they know how to take a test really well and they're academically good hard workers, or if they're born the Naglieri, which is a nonverbal spatial intelligence, which also speaks to a different kind of intelligence, being able to see patterns. It's a little bit of a different thing. They don't always test well on a state test with a Naglieri. Yeah.
Wait a minute, real quick. How many school site GATE advocates are at each school?
There's a GATE advocate. There's one teacher faculty who is the advocate for each of the schools.
And how many participants are involved in each school? Meaning, how many GATE participants in each school? Is there a percentage for each school?
It ranges, but we're moving toward a 6% district wide, and we're at about 5% right now.
District wide.
Yes, and I don't know that we have it by grades. We have 146, but we don't have it by school site.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to now turn it, Ms. Veronica, should I just give it over to, or would you like to take it back? I'm going to introduce Ms. Teresa Jones, who is going to be doing her part 2 for the science adoption. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Femina.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liliana. I am the district's communication coordinator. We're going to be doing a little bit of filming today just to be able to do like a DPAC video so our families know kind of what we do. Voice is not going to be included in the video, but if you do not want to be included in the video, just let me know right now. That way we know not to film you. Okay, so everyone's good. And just a quick thing, we are looking for maybe 1 or 2 parents that we can pull out very quickly, just to do a quick interview at some point, if that's okay.
Well, we have our Vice President, Brenda Veronica here, and we have our Secretary, we have Fatima here, so I would suggest those two to represent.
Awesome. Well, yeah, ignore us, we're gonna be here, but thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Charisse Jones. I'm the Common Core TOSA at the district, and I'm here today in support of elementary school science curriculum. And this is our second time that we've come to DPAC to talk about science. And today, And today is the opportunity where we'll get to look at the 2 programs that are being piloted or tested out in our elementary school classrooms. So the purpose for today is, of course, to participate. We want you actively involved, and I'll be asking you to look at materials and then to give us feedback on your impressions of these materials. There'll be 4 questions. So please consider sharing your thoughts openly and honestly. What you share today is just for the purpose of the pilot. It's just for this input session. If you want to say something, whether positive or negative about the resources you see, please include examples so that we know specifically what you're talking about. And then please be respectful of the viewpoints of others. And you're welcome to ask questions throughout. Fantastic. So our 2 programs are from 2 very reputable science curriculum development companies. One is Discovery Education. They have a product called the Science Textbook. Okay? And so Discovery is the company that is the Discovery Channel, and they are Shark Week, and they are, Discovery. It's that company that wrote a science curriculum. And then our second vendor is Amplify Science. And Amplify partnered with the Lawrence Hall of Science out of Berkeley and some work out of New York to create this science curriculum. And so these are 2 very reputable products that we are investigating. And the question is, which one is better for our students in Lawndale? So your input today is part of a larger process because our students are giving input on which program worked better for them in the classroom. Our teachers are giving input on which curriculum worked better for them in their classroom, in addition to what you parents share with us today. So we're going to jump right in. What we're going to do is we will first preview Amplify. We will then preview Discovery. And then I'm going to ask you your impressions of both. Awesome. So Amplify is an elementary design program, and it does have linguistic and language supports in English and in Spanish, both in their physical print materials, which would be purchased for dual immersion Spanish language classrooms, and in some cases for students brand new to the country from Spanish-speaking backgrounds, but also their digital platform. Their computer platform is in both languages. Amplify is designed around an anchor phenomenon. So students take the role as a scientist, as an engineer, as they participate in the units. Additionally, the program comes with digital simulations for grades 4th and up. And the digital simulations allow students to have the opportunity to do manipulations, to collect data, to see how variables would change within a simulation. Every unit comes with a hands-on materials kit provided by the vendor so that students are able to interact with the materials. And so we have some bags that are going around with some of these materials. And there's 3 bags, so you will need to kind of pass them around a little bit. But as part of this curriculum, students will be reading out of small books, okay? And so the books are where students will read with a partner, they'll read with their teacher about the content. And then after reading, they will have an investigation notebook where they're able to take notes, they're able to record their thinking, their data collection can all be organized in the investigation notebook. So this is an example here of one of those small readers that students would interact with regularly. And for our team on Zoom, this is an example of the investigation notebook where data observations is recorded. So we want to put the materials in your hands And make sure that we can definitely pass them down. Oh yeah, it's going down the line. Perfect. So that you're able to just see the quality of the information, the quality of the materials. And we also want to give you a glimpse through video of the promotional experience that the curriculum provides to students. Okay. So you're welcome to continue perusing and looking at these materials. And as you're watching the video, you'll see the readers and you'll see the simulations and you'll see these resources integrated into classrooms.
No sound on Zoom. Sorry. They said too loud. No, I'm sorry. I didn't want to show.
Zoom friends, let us know if you can hear it now.
They're writing, they're collaborating with each other, they're visualizing things that are happening, they're utilizing technology to make sense of their real world problem. Now with Amplify Science, it's more of a balance. While they do have hands-on activities, those activities are designed for a reason, and that is for evidence collection and for deepening explanations. So I like to think about it's not so much the stuff that you put in their hands, but it's the way you have your students think.
I can't even put into words the change in attitude.
When I grow up, I want to be an astronomer because ever since we started to Amplify Science and learned about space, it made me want to learn more about the universe and stars and other planets like exoplanets.
So from a teacher standpoint, for me, to be able to sit back and watch the student debate was just so enjoyable to watch the scientific argument actually verbally take place in the classroom. I've actually been very amazed at how my English language learners have taken to this program.
We didn't just adopt a curricular resource. We feel like we really became part of a team with the folks in New York and Amplify, and the folks in California with Lawrence Hall of Science. The teachers in Grand Island are loving Amplify Science. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that they are seeing just what their students are capable of.
Wow. So this is our preview of Amplify. I did see that there was a hand raised in the chat, in the Zoom.
Should I do it now? Should I ask now?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I was just curious. The video kind of explained it somewhat, but is it do the activities, are they based off of like what maybe a career would be in like researching in terms of science things, or is it just to kind of foster curiosity and kind of give some alternative like exposure to kids in terms of like their scientific knowledge? I guess, for lack of a better term. Sorry, I lost my voice.
Okay.
Hope you can understand.
Yeah, so there's a problem that's posed to students, like a scientific or engineering problem in the curriculum. And if it's an engineering problem, students are told they're acting as engineers. If it's a research problem, they're posed as scientific researchers. And depending on what the problem is, they put students in that role.
Okay, and that's based off of what, like, a current career, like the model that you're going off of is what someone would do. Like, where did you, like, how did they design what that would be? If I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not able to speak to exactly how
Okay.
the curriculum, the publisher created the curriculum.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fictitious in that it's invented. It's an invented scenario, but it tries to engage students from a career perspective.
Right. So the goal is to open them to different experiences, not necessarily expose them to what the career would be like in that.
No. Yeah, no. So it doesn't tell them like, oh, this type of job, you would work here. This would be the type of work. It's just,
just to
it's embedded in
learn new things. Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Sorry.
Okay, so now if you could put those materials back in the baggie, we're going to look at Discovery real quick, which is our second program. So they're going to pass out additional resources. We're going to do it in the same style. So our science tech book, this is from Discovery Education. It also lays out, it has between 3 and 5 units per grade level. This is a kindergarten example with 4 units, a first grade example with 3 units. And the topics are also introduced through an anchor phenomenon, which is something observable in life. And they ask, why does this happen? And students engage and find out why that phenomenon exists. The resources in Discovery are also available in English and in Spanish, both digitally and in print. Those print materials would be purchased for students learning science in Spanish in our dual language program, and on occasion also for students who are proficient readers in Spanish, who are recent arrivals. The tech book, per its name, is also fully accessible digitally. So students will have access to what you see in print in the student edition here, also online. And one of the big pushes from Discovery Education is their video library, because they just have all of this high quality video footage. And so there's a lot of video from the field, from Discovery Channel, and all of these film and documentary experts who have put this footage together over many, many years. Each unit, just like Amplify, comes with a hands-on kit. Students are engaged in hands-on opportunities in each and every unit. Then the student edition, which you have in front of you. Instead of having small readers and a notebook, all of their reading and note-taking is done in one student edition. Okay, so this student book is where students will read about their science topic, they can take notes, they will highlight, they'll put their investigation notes and data collection all in here. It's per unit, it's consumable, and then it all goes home. So this is what students will be interacting with. And then this is also available technologically, digitally on the tech book. Did you guys get to see one? Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Of course. So for our friends on Zoom, this is the student edition. As I mentioned, all of the data and information is in one resource. So their reading is here, their access to videos, and then their data collection from the hands-on investigations. Data collection is all done in one resource that looks like this. All right, so we're going to take a minute to watch Discovery in action. And just so you know, I'm going to pause the video part way through because then it gets into like the technical side for teachers. You know, go in to assign grades this way, which isn't our lens for today. Oh, thumbs out again. Thank you. Sharing the screen, right? Screen sharing. On audio share. I want audio share on. Any feedback from Zoom? It's not showing. Not here, this tab instead. Okay.
Adaptable digital and print resources, virtual investigations, and hands-on activities support the delivery of impactful blended instruction, in person or at a distance. Unit storylines offer a 3D framework to help students take ownership of their learning. Each unit cultivates three-dimensional learning experiences through the seamless layering of disciplinary core ideas, cross-cutting concepts, and science and engineering practices. And concepts are organized around the research-based 5 E's of instruction, simplified as wonder, learn, share. Science Textbook provides students with several ways to take ownership of their learning. Students can investigate phenomena through questioning, modeling, data collection, and analysis, allowing them to generate evidence of their sense-making. They are encouraged to ask questions, present their findings, and share their models and explanations. Relevant connections continue with hands-on investigation activities, which allow students to apply the steps of the engineering design process to investigate and solve real-world problems. And virtual investigations and labs allow students to utilize interactive simulations to test and analyze data. Lastly, STEM projects offer students solution-seeking opportunities to explore topics and issues that interest them. To ensure that every student is empowered to investigate, Science Textbook is offered in both English and Spanish, includes 2 Lexile levels, and provides an interactive multimedia glossary. Science Textbook empowers teachers as well. Formative and summative assessments are embedded into the learning cycle for each unit, along with unit-level assessments to support students in achieving defined goals. Technology-enhanced items feed student responses directly to the teacher dashboard, offering a real-time progress view. Unit projects encourage students to design and generate solutions to real-world problems and allow teachers to observe their application of content knowledge. Digital performance-based assessments offer students opportunities to demonstrate evidence of learning for each of the unit performance indicators. With Science Textbook, teachers can have confidence that their students will reach higher depths of knowledge and better prepare for high-stakes testing. Teachers receive time-saving support.
So now what we'd like to do, you've had the opportunity to see and to experience a little bit about what each of these programs offers and how it's laid out. So can you verify that you can see this now on Zoom? Okay. Okay, I think it should be okay now. So what we would like to do is open it up now to you and to ask you, you saw 2 programs, and to ask you what specific features or resources did you find particularly valuable? And it's okay if you want to hold up, okay, some of the resources got put away, but if there's something specific that you liked, that you thought would be valuable to student learning, you're welcome to state those out.
Question. Does the Discovery curriculum comes with the the kit for the kids to do the things in
Experiments.
class?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they both programs come with hands-on kits.
Oh, okay.
Almost seemed like the Amplify one was more tailored toward younger kids. It almost seemed that way. Maybe it was just the big lettering in the books, but is that the case?
So you might have been looking at the first grade materials. So each grade level has reading resources at the grade level of the students. So fifth graders will be reading at the fifth grade level, first graders at the first grade level. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is a fourth grade. Did you maybe
Does
look at
anybody
that?
have the
Yeah.
kindergarten
I know, I saw that.
discovery?
It had like.
Brought first grade, second grade, and fourth grade.
Yeah, no, yeah.
First grade, fourth grade.
First grade?
I had the chance to check fourth grade for Amplify, but I wasn't sure which one I checked on Discovery. I think I have two things to say about each of them. They're pretty similar both. They contain, for us as parents, I think, the hands-on experience sometimes stays more in their mind, which is a good thing for both. To me, when I checked Amplify in fourth grade, it seemed really advanced. And with the kids, they have all those kids to play. I'm not sure if it's going to be like groups or individual to work with, but I think each of them will provide a lot of value. I am inclining more to Amplify because it seems, like he said, the images and everything is pretty easy to see. And Discovery, to me, looked more like all those documentaries that we already seen on TV. Sometimes it doesn't catch their attention anymore. They think they know, but definitely what I liked from Discovery is everything is in the book. You don't have to be collecting your kids' paperwork from everywhere and then put it all together. That's what I do with my kid, and it's extra work. And if I want to go back and check something, I don't have all the contents organized. So either one you choose, for me, it's gonna work. The part that I like the most is how much effort they did to put it in Spanish, because my kid is in dual immersion. That's why probably that's gonna be the one for like the ideal for my kid, but Amplify caught my attention. Yeah, but both are really, really good. I think either one will do a great choice.
Any other specifics or resources you found particularly valuable?
I did like for early education, I do like the Amplify Science because I like it particularly because of the small books. I find that having small books and not having to go back and forth within a book keeps them more focused. But for later education, the value of the online, because children are more attracted to that, it makes it more appealing to me for the older grades. But as they're smaller, they like their little books. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Carrie on Zoom that raised her hand.
Go ahead, Carrie.
It seems to me just from the short presentations, that the Discovery, I believe, is a little bit more comprehensive and has more of a goal in line with like implementing, learning strategies and ways of gathering information and scientific discovery that is in line with what they might be experiencing either in high school or college. From my experience having multiple children in different grades and different experiences, having like the formative and the summative, the like those ways of like presenting the information that they learned is very valuable to prepare them for what they might be required to do later on, which to spend a lot of money on a program, you would want it to have some type of value for to prepare them for what is coming, you know, after elementary and after middle school. Otherwise, they might find themselves, you know, having to learn how to do it as well as learning the information when they later on in their academic career. So I think that is that gave that one a little bit more of a benefit, if not to mention it seems to be all encompassing, and it's not, you know, I know for the smaller kids, they want all the tactile, like little goodies and stuff, but sometimes that's not, you know, going to provide them the long-term benefit of the money that it costs, in my opinion. I don't know all of that, but I know that the programs are expensive. So that's my take. Sorry.
Thank you for your input. No, of course. Yes.
Are they given it to the kids individually, like the way we were given a packet, or is it all shared as a group?
So there's different resources for different purposes. So a lot of the small readers in Amplify are meant to be read in a partnership, not necessarily independently, right? Not everybody gets your own book, now read it on your own and learn the science, but most of the lessons have been quite interactive through partner reading or reading together as a class. And so the books can come in depending on their purpose. Sometimes they're designed for a group to work with, so there's fewer, and sometimes each student is intended to work with their own, in which case there's a class set.
So when they're given these packets, is that the way they see it?
No, this is just a way to organize the resources for preview.
How do you guys present it to the kids?
It comes in like 18 large boxes for the teacher, for him or her to organize in her classroom and to disseminate in the ways that make sense in his or her classroom.
The reason I ask is because kids are very into packaging right now. They have all these videos on how to unpack it, you know, open different
unboxing.
So I feel like if it's packaged nicely, I think once they see it, because that's where their minds are going now these days, once they see it, they're going to be super excited to open it, to do the unboxing or whatever. So maybe just really, you know, start thinking about what the packaging is going to look like to get them excited to open it and get into it.
I'm pretty sure they just come in cardboard boxes. Yeah. So
So the small books will not be going home.
Oh, no.
Okay,
The small
so
books
then-
are
okay,
year
so
to
that would
year.
be-
So the students will use them, the teacher will collect them, and then she'll use them for up to 10 years.
But at the Discovery, they will get to keep this one.
That's correct. So the Discovery book will go home. So students can write in it. The Discovery book will go home with the students, and those will be reordered each year. In Amplify, the investigation notebook is what students will take home and what would be reordered. So this is the one that students will write in for Amplify and then take home, but they won't be writing in the little books. Yeah.
So there's like 3 units in each. Is that about right?
Between 3 and 5, depending on the grade level and depending on the number of standards that are in the NGSS for each grade level.
And in the Discovery books, so there's an English, there's a Spanish, there'll be one for each unit that I imagine the students will be getting as they go through the units. And versus, and that's it, right? Like in terms of physical material
For
students, there's this. And then
in addition to the hands-on kits that the teachers will bring out on the day of the experiment.
and those are consumables, they're like one-time use, or they're gonna do them and then they're gonna give them back, or do they take them home?
So that is dependent on the project. And this is true for both programs. So sometimes in one of the experiments, there might be a flashlight. And so there might be 6 flashlights for 6 groups. students will use the flashlight in the experiment and give them back to the teacher, which she'll hold on either for a later unit, another experiment that's coming, or for her next school year. Not every student will take home a flashlight to do the experiment at home. But there's other situations where students are using cardboard boxes to make a pinball machine, in which case they're building their pinball machine out of pipe cleaners and paper clips and popsicle sticks. And once they build that, you can't undo and uncut popsicle sticks. That project goes home. And so just depending on what the project is, some of those materials will go home and will need to be replenished, and others will not go home and they will be used from year to year.
And in terms of, and I know this is a question about this is a question about the choice between the two curriculums, but in terms of like in classroom usage, right? Are all of the students in all of these grades like required to go through all of these units? Is there going to be a dedicated time to science every day, week, whatever? Is that the plan, to really kind of standardize and use this throughout the year so that they always get science time? Or is this, the way that I feel like it is now, is it's kind of like, we're going to do science sometimes, as opposed to a dedicated, like, we're going to learn science throughout the year. Here's all the things that we're going to learn. It looks like between the two curriculums, right? You're going to be trying to hit all of these things, but how are they going to be used?
So that's more of, that's our work for next year, is to design implementation and guidance to teachers and staff about usage. So our work for right now is that our pilot teachers who are piloting the materials are using them as designed by the publishers to get to really evaluate which program gives a better learning outcome, which programming has higher engagement. There's a bunch of factors, right? Which is of better quality for their students and their class and the way that their kids learn. And so in the pilot, there's pilot expectations for how much science they're doing, but in terms of what teachers will be expected next year, that's not a conversation or decision for today.
And it seems like this one has the content and the questions, whereas this one has the content like separate, and they won't necessarily be able to bring that content home. That content, like all they're going to be bringing home are these, which
end of a unit
don't have any content in them at all.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is a difference. That is a difference in the student experience and the family experience with the resources and the programs.
Right. I'm telling you, these are way better. Like right there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Noted. Mm-hmm. Okay, so our second question.
I mean, it's really simple.
How well do you think these materials would work to support your child's science learning and meet your expectations for their future aspirations?
Based on his line of questioning, the discovery ones are, they're going to have the best impact for sure.
So maybe you're saying that because that the complete material would be coming home, you would get to see.
Kind of have it and touch it and read it and have it at your disposal as needed is going to be ideal for sure.
Thank you.
I can see the kids opening that at home and like trying to teach us versus the other one, like, I don't remember what she said at this part and I don't remember the picture. So like this one would be, yeah, because when you could teach it, you know it.
Yeah. We could apply the experiments to our real life and keep practicing it over and over if we refresh our memories as well, right?
I agree with that. I already have a kid in high school. So sometimes when he doesn't remember some content of something that he knows that he learns in maybe middle school or elementary, he just took their old books because he has all the old books and just read it and, oh, that's here. I remember that I learned this one sometime in my life. So this access is better because they could just take the book and remember with the book.
So if they save their third grade science books when they're in fourth grade and fifth grade, they can go back and say, I remember learning about this in third grade. They can go reread it. They can see the images again. Okay, I understand. Yeah. Okay,
I think
great.
it's more rounded because whatever they learned at the classroom, like, taking this home and then when they get home, you will ask, oh, how was your day? Oh, I got we did science. Oh, what did you did? Oh, let me show you. This is what I draw. This is what what we did. So I think it would just support that whatever they did in class with this, because my kid, when he gets home, he will show me what he drew or what he did. So I think this is give him more. He will read it, and I can understand what it was, the project that they did at class.
They're not going to be bringing them home every day when they have science. This is going to be bringing home at the end of the semester, right?
Teacher choice. I mean, the teacher could allow students to take it back and forth, but as a former classroom teacher, I know what sometimes happens. You put that book in your backpack and you take it home, and I never see it again. So, however, you will have it with both programs. You can also access it online. So through their Chromebook, through ClassLink, they can pull it up and say, this is the page we did today, right? So they might not have all their notes in it, but right there they can bring it up and show it to you. And it's the same thing that, if they do that in Amplify, you'll see the investigation notebook. If you do that in Discovery, you'll see the reading and the notes and the organizational page side by side.
In terms of this question, I think either program can work depending on how well you train the teachers to utilize the materials.
Okay.
If the teachers are utilizing the materials so that the students are really engaging with each other and interacting with the concepts, then it's going to be great for the kids. Because right now, just reading a chapter and then writing an answer is not good. It's not.
Awesome, thank you. And then final question. This is a final question I definitely wanted to get through, but do you have any concerns or questions? I know we've kind of been going through them throughout, but this is kind of a final opportunity. If there's anything else you wanted to share about your experiences with the two programs today?
You said these are both very reputable programs.
We are.
How long have they been around?
Good question. I don't have that off the top of my head. Both programs were designed after the standard that NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards, were put out. They've been around for a while because the state of California did a curricular review of science materials to ensure that they were aligned to the standard and to the science framework. Both of these resources participated in that review, which means that they've been in publication for some time. And the teachers were very adamant about this too because they wanted to know about updates. And so what we know is that from both programs, they have been making continual updates to their program. So even though they were adopted a few years ago, the programs have continued to grow and develop. They're the same program, but with enhancements and modifications along the way.
In both languages, Spanish and English?
From what they tell us, yes.
Okay. And the teachers are now going through the curriculum in English and in Spanish, or?
So unfortunately, we do not have any teachers from the dual immersion program who volunteered to participate in the pilot.
Okay. The reason I asked that is because when we started the new math curriculum, we found out that there was a lot of errors in the math curriculum that didn't make sense and was confusing to the parents and to the children. So we want to make sure that whatever program we use, whether it's one or the other, both of them, somebody reviews it before the parents get confused.
Indeed. So from what I've seen, I've thought that the translation in both has been accurate. They both say that they're authentic translations, not computer-generated translations, or if they were supported by computer generation, they have been reviewed by humans. And I haven't seen any significant complications that concerned me about the translation in the materials I've seen. But I won't be reading every single page of every single curriculum, kindergarten through 5th grade, for both programs ahead of adoption.
Well, we'll let you know if we see something, but
With the materials given in the package, is there anything sharp that can hurt kids? Because sometimes they get too excited, that they can injure themselves or anything like that in the packets?
Well, I would argue that a paper clip could be a dangerous object in the wrong hands. There are paper clips in many of the experiments. There's nothing that is out of the ordinary that students wouldn't regularly have access to in a classroom or in the home. There are safety precautions in both programs where students are, instructed and taught in safety procedures for interacting with materials. Sometimes they're interacting with batteries, which can be quite harmful. They're not interacting with button batteries. We're talking about AA's, right? Or D batteries when making circuits and talking about electricity. But some of the materials, if used inappropriately, could be concerning. But there's nothing in either kit that is in and of itself of concern. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Many experiments do have students using scissors as well.
I'm sorry. Do you know if any of these curriculums are used in another state?
Yes. So these programs are used across California and also in other states. Here locally in Lawndale, our middle schools do use Amplify. So Jane Addams Middle School and Will Rogers do use Amplify. But they went through a middle school adoption process and determined that the Amplify was the best product as determined by the pilot team for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. So we're looking at it for a new lens, kindergarten through 5th grade, because kindergartners and 5th graders don't necessarily have the same instructional needs.
More being curious, what are the students favoring? What is the staff favoring? Seems like we kind of favor the Discovery one here.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they?
So the pilot will conclude May 22nd. So your input will be included in that. And we're still in the process of collecting feedback from teachers. So currently, our 5th grade teachers are piloting Discovery, and they haven't yet touched Amplify. And our 3rd grade teachers are currently piloting Amplify and have not yet touched Discovery. So at this time, there isn't teacher data for both programs to be able to draw a conclusion. That will happen after the conclusion of the pilot.
So no, we decided to be.
Parents have spoken.
So 3rd and 5th grade is what is being tested right now.
No, there's a kinder pilot happening right now. There's a 3rd grade pilot happening right now, and a 5th grade pilot happening right now. Kinder 1st and 2nd already piloted one of the curriculum in September, and there's an additional round of pilot in April, which will include 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th.
Okay, so everybody will have input from every level.
Yeah, the only grade level not represented is 4th grade. No 4th grade teachers in the district volunteered to participate.
Last one, I promise. And touching on something you was mentioning earlier, since there is a pilot program right now, how often are they touching these books and,
Yes. So the piloting expectation is to teach science 2 times a week for 1 hour. And that's teacher flexible, right? A kindergarten teacher might teach it 4 times a week for half an hour. But at a comparable level, it is 1 hour, 2 times a week at minimum. Some of our pilot teachers are like, we're going to do this fast. We want to get through it. We're teaching it 5 days a week for an hour, and we're going to get through the pilot quickly. And that's their prerogative, or that is within the guidelines of the pilot. Thank you. Yes.
So this Discovery one also includes all of the mystery science stuff in addition to?
So the mystery science is not part of the tech book, but it is a complementary and free resource that is included with purchase of the tech book.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. So the teachers could they would have access. Like I think I think my teacher has access to mystery science stuff now.
Correct.
And they can use that to supplement any of the lessons.
That's correct. And should we adopt Discovery, they will offer support on how mystery science can be incorporated into the textbook lessons as supplement.
Got it. But Amplify doesn't have
mystery science.
So we'd have to purchase that separately if we wanted it.
Correct, and we wouldn't.
Okay.
One more. Carrie's got her hand up in the chat. And then we'll
I
get
might
you
have missed. This was already. Oh, sorry. Just real quick. Is this to replace PS Science, or is this a completely alternative, like additional? Because that's just what I'm familiar with. So that's why I might have missed that you said that already, and I apologize if I did.
No problem. So this is an adoption. We will be purchasing either Amplify Science or Discovery Education textbook as a replacement to our current science programs and all current science programs. So mystery science would no longer be the primary science instruction. PS Science would no longer be a program that was used. And any other, we also have a Scotts-Foresman program that teachers have access to in the classroom. All of those would no longer be funded or supported. And this would be our focus for science instruction.
Can I ask why that is? Is it in my experience? I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Trash day. Okay. Sorry. Is that because the contracts ran out, or that they weren't producing the results you wanted? Like, what was the reason for the decision to completely change or go to just piloting new programs rather than going with the ones that they had already had in place?
Sure. So in terms of, I can speak to each of the science programs that are currently being used in all of our Lawndale elementary schools. The Scotts-Foresman program is not aligned to the NGSS standards. It is old standards. It is not current. It is outdated and is required by law to be replaced. It's gone. Mystery science is not a comprehensive curriculum. It is a supplement that we're using to complement our old science curriculum, which is outdated, that must be replaced. Okay, and so we have an outdated program and a supplement, which together we're hobbling along in science, and that needs to be replaced by a comprehensive standards aligned program. To address.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But what about PS Science? Because I'm not familiar. Like, I'm guessing it depends on your school site that which program was used.
There is only one school site that funds PS Science, and that is Green. And so PS Science is not currently available at any of the other elementary schools. And so it will.
It's a really good program. Honestly, I've had multiple children go through it, and 2 of them still are in contact with one of the teachers. Learned so much from that program. It's really good. So it's a shame, but thank you for answering. Sorry to interrupt you.
Of course.
That answered your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to know why this was going, but you answered it, so that's great. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your participation here today. Your feedback will be included in the decision-making process. And we really appreciate your participation and your comments today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for staying overtime. I just want to point out a couple things coming up. Just a reminder about the upcoming board meetings. Last week, FDR did a fabulous presentation in front of the board. I'm not sure if you got to see it, but it's a wonderful opportunity to check out our schools. The next school coming up is Anderson on April 17th. So if you'd like to know what's going on in Anderson, that's a great chance to check it out and see. We also have Trajectory of Hope and Rise, which are our programs for African-American students. If you're interested in that and want to learn more about how it's servicing our children, it's a great one to check out. On April 17th, we'll be hearing all about community schools. So check out our board meetings, and remember, you can come in person. You can watch on YouTube while you're making dinner. And if you need interpretation, you need to request it up 72 hours ahead of time, and then you can watch on Zoom with interpretation. This is just a reminder of the board meetings. And then here are all our next meetings coming up. The next one on the docket is we will have a makeup meeting for our APAC meeting that was canceled due to that torrential rain that we had a couple weeks ago. And then have our regular meeting March 13th. Special Needs Family Support Group is coming up on March 18th. And then Community of Multilingual Families, formerly known as DLAC, and this group, DPAC, will reconvene in April because we'll be using March as many of our schools are sending lots of parents to CABE, the California Association for Bilingual Education. And so we'd like to put your time in the conference and not in these meetings. So we'll see you again in April or in March if you're coming to APAC or Special Needs Family Support Group. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for staying late. And thank you for your input. Have a great rest of your day. Sure.